It's been a moment since I reviewed this series, but we're back to it now. We start off with Owlman rushing into Metropolis trying to help take on the Starro attack. He surprisingly not only holds his own against the Starros, but he does a better job than Ultraman did last issue. And he's Kryptonian, and Owlman is just human. But unlike Ultraman, Owlman actually doesn't get possessed by Starro and survives. That is impressive. But yet again, he's Batman's doppelganger, or Batman's brother's doppelganger. So maybe it's not that much of a shock, seeing, what Batman survived. He has survived a literal death and Omega Beams. So Owlman surviving Starro isn't that far of a stretch, in my opinion. To Washington, where Superwoman and Oliver Queen, who's president in this universe, remember, are helping Secret Security fight all the Starros, when Ultraman, possessed by Starro still, shows up demanding Wonder Woman. Superwoman, not Wonder Woman. My bad. Superwoman, of course, refuses, which prompts Ultraman to make a comment that comes across very, how do I say, not only sexist, but, I mean, he's possessed and he's a villain, but still, it's that he says that he doesn't mind hitting girls. I'm just gonna leave that there.
The hammer of justice is unisex.
Response, in my opinion, though, is pretty cool, which is that this girl isn't afraid to hit back, which I found decent, but fitting for Superwoman, even Wonder Woman, which I almost called Superwoman again. I don't know why I keep making that mistake with Superwoman, but not Ultraman or Owlman. I'm unsure. Also, how'd you like the fact that I was able to insert a clip now? I haven't been able to do that before. And this is the first time I've ever done it, and it was that clip. Of all the clips I could insert, that's the one I have. Actually, it was between that one and the one from Batman Anime Series where he fights Red Claw, but I went with that one because I thought that one was more iconic. Cut back to Owlman Gotham at the Owl's Nest, which is just as Batcave practically. But something I found cool here is how, unlike Batman's trophy room, Owlman keeps the corpses of his villains. Or are they heroes here? I'm a little bit confused about this Earth 3's rules, because usually heroes are villains and villains are heroes. But here, for some unknown reason, Ultraman and the most of Crime Syndicate are being presented as heroic. Therefore, not necessarily completely heroic, of course, because Owlman snapped the guy's neck last issue, but they're being portrayed as if they are not fully heroes, but some people see them as heroes, which I found very odd. Meanwhile, so does that mean that these dead bodies are actually villains, or were they heroes trying to stop Owlman? I'm a little confused, but I'm just going to list them anyways. We see a red-headed Mad Hatter, a Bane whose design seems to look normal to me, a much older Riddler than our own, with a question mark tattooed on his face, which might be a callback to when he had those question marks tattoos on his body. Or no, not his body, his neck. Penguin with the ribbon that says Mayor on it, which is probably a reference to when Mayor Cobblepot or Penguin was Mayor. And Killer Croc, who, like Bane, just looks normal. Although we only see his foot, so he very much, for all I know, he has a red head, because all we see is Killer Croc's foot. For all I know, that's not even Killer Croc, but it's a crocodile's foot, so I'm going to go on the limb here and say it's Killer Croc's foot. Get it? Limb, because it's a limb, and okay, I know, it's a stupid joke, but I made it, and low-hanging fruit is my favorite. Of all these characters who are corpses are being hung up in Batman's trophy room, well, Owlman's trophy room, I keep doing that. We've actually only seen one of these characters before. Kind of. This isn't the first Earth 3 Riddler we've ever seen. There was Enigma from pre-New 52, well, pre-Flashpoint, because, Rebirth, although that was a soft reboot. So sometimes I'll say pre-New 52, which I'm not saying that it's not important, but I'm just saying this has happened before Flashpoint. Anyways, Enigma was a, how do I say, powerful being, although I highly doubt that in this version of Earth 3, seeing the fact he's dead. He also has a very different design from the pre-New 52 version of Earth 3 Riddler, the post-Flashpoint Earth 3 Riddler. Or is it post, never mind, Infinite Frontier Earth 3 Riddler? Yeah, post-Infinite Frontier Earth 3 Riddler. I'm a bit confused about the whole timeline stuff. I just know this Earth 3 isn't Earth 3 from back then. So it's not continuity error if you think that's what I'm implying. I'm just pointing it out that there's been more than one Earth 3 Riddler before. Also, not to be confused with the female Enigma, who's Riddler's daughter and also appeared on Batwoman. In the comics, she is a member of the Teen Titans East and was best friends with Dula Dent, aka Joker's daughter, who's actually Joker's daughter, who's the Joker of Earth 3, which I don't think is her origin anymore. I don't know. It's really confusing. Comics are really confusing. I only read what. Okay, that's wrong. It was like I only read by review, but that's incorrect. I read a lot. But I only do read some stuff. I don't read everything. So I don't know everything. So I don't know what's going on with Dula Dent. I know that she popped up and fought Punchline and was in the whole Red Hood comic, but I don't know everything. Anyways, back to this comic. Owlman is in the Owl's Nest with Alfred, or better known as the Outsider, as he dissects a Starro, who he refers to as being an octopus, not a starfish. That's new. Usually, Starro is always referred to as being a starfish. Even in the Suicide Squad film, they refer to it as Project Starfish. I find it a very odd and bold claim to say it's not a starfish, she's an octopus. That's another thing. Starro is referred here as a she. Is that only on this Earth 3 universe, or is that the same thing on Earth 1, or is it just Earth 3? Is Earth 1 a male starfish and Earth 3 a female octopus? I mean, I know they're not actually an octopus or a starfish, it's an alien, but it's clearly designed after a starfish. So I find it really odd that here they're referred to it as being closer to an octopus, which I don't get. I mean, maybe biologically, but it physically looks like a starfish to me. But yet again, I'm no expert of starfish or octopus. I only watch SpongeBob, and that one, the starfish on that show is talking. But Patrick was cool anyway, so. Off the topic of SpongeBob and Patrick, back with Superwoman and Ultraman, the two are fighting up in space, where Superwoman can somehow survive. That's new. Can Wonder Woman survive in space? I mean, I know Superwoman in the New 52 had heat vision and is confirmed to be more than just an Amazon, but this Superwoman seems to just be an Amazon. So how is she surviving in space? Anyways, they crash into a space satellite, which results in everyone in the space station dying, and Superwoman doesn't even attempt to save them, which is cold. Which is ironic because she, as they are dying behind her, she's giving a monologue how men let women die all the time and stuff like that. But there's the two astronauts who are dying behind her are both women, as she literally turns her back on them. I think that is probably intentional. Maybe. I think it's intentional, but if it's not, then that's kind of funny. Ultraman is trying to take Superwoman to Starro for some reason, but we do learn that Superwoman has fought Starro before, so maybe it's like a petty revenge. Although she slams him down back to Earth to continue her fight in DC, as in Washington, DC, not DC Comics. Owlman back in the Owl Nest reveals he has a lantern of the Green Lantern Corps. I don't know how he got that, although neither does the writer, because I also wanted to mention here something I really liked is that the editor's note to when he got the Green Lantern Corps, what's it called? The Green Lantern's lantern. He makes a joke, or they make a joke about turning iconic stories of Batman and shifting it for Owlman. As in, they're saying, you could learn about this in Owlman Year 1, Birds That Prey Together. I know it's small, but I liked it. I mean, unless it's an actual book, which I looked it up, it's not. Maybe it is. Hopefully, one day will be. Because I really like Owlman, the series, and I'd be up to read that. But it's unlikely. Also, when I saw the Birds That Prey, I thought it says Birds of Prey, and I was really, really confused. I was like, is Owlman teaming up with like Black Siren or something? But no, I read it wrong. It was Birds That Prey Together. On Earth, we see more quote-unquote heroes are now joining in on the beatdown on Superwoman. That includes Earth 3 Vixen, Earth 3 Black Lightning, and Earth 3 Black Canary. The Earth 3 Black Canary is actually an odd one because pre-New 52, or pre-Flashpoint like I said previously, Earth 3 Black Canary was White Cat. But in this series, she's called Scream Queen. But another series which is ongoing, but that being Suicide Squad, well, not ongoing right now because it got canceled recently, or ended recently, but it was ongoing at the time of this issue, she's called Black Siren. So are Black Siren and Scream Queen separate characters? They have the exact same design and everything, but are they the same character? They just changed her name, or are they different characters? The reason why I'm asking this is because on Comic Vine, it lists these two characters as separate people. Scream Queen is the name of the Black Canary doppelganger from the Justice League Crisis on Two Earths movie. Well, Black Siren is the name of Earth 2's Black Canary from the Arrowverse. There's also Siren X, which you could also say is kind of influencing this, but that's a bit of a stretch. That Johnny Quick is now joining in on the fight, but he's also under Starro's control. We then cut to Emerald Knight, who's fighting Starro, arguing with his ring, but that's until the voice changes to Owlman's. But even more Starro-possessed Earth 3 characters show up. Now, of all these characters, these are the ones we've already met, or kind of met. You might be confused by that, but you'll understand after I'm finished. Martian, aka Earth 3's version of Martian-Mander, pre-New 52. But here they seem to be Ms. Martian's doppelganger, or maybe Martian-Mander of Earth 3 in this continuity is a woman. I'm not sure, but there is a Martian who is either Martian-Mander or Ms. Martian, who is very clearly meant to be based off White Martian from the pre-52 continuity of Earth 3. Storm is front and center, and if you watched my last video, then you know I complained over him being absent in this series. So here he is in very just one panel. He literally appears in one panel, but either way, I hope he has more to do, because I really like Deathstorm. He recently showed up in The Flash. Well, he showed up in Season 2, but a newer version of him showed up in The Flash recently. And that version of him, I think, made me miss Deathstorm so much, because no offense to the Flash's version of Deathstorm, which I did like, he's not as cool as he is in the comics, and I really, really wish we got to see more of him. And here he is. Well, Earth 3's version of Deathstorm. There's also a Deathstorm from the Blackest Night, which is the one from the show that was based off of. Personally, I personally like the Blackest Night and the Earth 3 version. But either way, I'm just sad that he didn't have more to do in this issue. Hopefully, and fingers crossed, he has more to do next issue, or at least sometime in the series, he gets to do something. We can also see in the corner is Sky Tyrant Earth 3's Hawkman, who is a more recent character from like the New 52 or Rebirth, I believe, era. I think he was introduced in 2017 in the Rebirth era of Hawkman comics, and that he was a Hawkman that was reincarnated on Earth 1 after dying on Earth 3, but he's somehow on Earth 3 again, which is weird to me, because there was also another Hawkman in the New 52 version of Earth 3 called Hawkwing, who Alexander Luthor kills, along with, I think his name is like William Batson, who's like their version of Shazam. So there's been two different Hawkmans, similar to how there's 3 Black Canaries. But this version of Hawkman doesn't seem to be either or, which is weird, because in its continuity, there already is another Hawkman, similar to how there already is another Black Canary. So maybe this is Sky Tyrant, but I can't be certain. 2 characters who aren't actually from Earth 3, but are in this continuity apparently. That is Dr. Chaos, an evil version of Dr. Fate, who was not a part of Earth 3 pre-Flashpoint or New 52, and it is a guest in Rebirth. But I am happy to see his design used again, because I really like his character. Also, before you question, maybe we use his design and then that's not actually Dr. Chaos, but I did read up on, I didn't read the actual issues, but I looked at forums of what character appears where in order to make my thumbnail. Who's the main characters, who's the supporting characters. In it, they list this character as Dr. Chaos, confirming that this is in fact Dr. Chaos, and in this continuity, he's Earth 3's version of Dr. Fate, not just a randomly evil Dr. Fate. We can also see a character who looks a lot like Black Beetle, except for some unknown reason he's now red. Character form similar to Dr. Chaos when it comes to cameo characters refer to this character as Black Beetle, but he's red. Although his design is very clearly Black Beetle's, but just turned red. Those of you who have watched Young Justice, I assume, probably know Black Beetle is. Although his character from the show is very different from his character in the comics. But that is probably the most known place of Black Beetle. Also, he appeared in Lego DC Supervillains as a part of the Young Justice Lego pack, but I was supposed to say no one plays that game, but I think a lot of people do, including myself. I really like that game, but it definitely didn't, I think, get enough reputation as other Lego games. So some people might know who Black Beetle is, but I'm guessing a lot of people don't. I don't think anyone knew who Dr. Chaos is. Earth 3 version of Negative Woman, Elastigirl, someone who might be a shirtless ragman, and a unknown female character in the background who I believe is meant to be Earth 3's Rose Wilson. Unlike other characters, these two were not listed on the cameo appearances, so I have no idea who they're meant to be. But I'm fairly certain the guy who is shirtless is meant to be Ragman because he has a rag mask, or maybe he's a mummy, I don't know. I thought he might be a Negative Man because Negative Woman is there, but his mask doesn't look like hers, so I'm going to assume that is probably Ragman. Meanwhile, the girl with the white hair, I don't know who else could have white hair other than Rose. But yet again, Earth 3 changes a lot of things, so there could be a different character with white hair here. That's all I know. Moving on. On the ground, Ultraman, Johnny Quick, the Earth 3 versions of Black Lightning, Black Canary, and Vixen, anyone who else was on the ground that was infected by Starro, were free after Atomica did something with an explosion thing. I think it had to do with like the atoms and stuff, but they didn't really explain it, so I'm not going to try to explain it. Atomica just freed them. They're then confronted by Owlman, who tells them he's the man with the plan. The comic then ends with us being shown how Owlman killed Harvey Bullock, most known by Gotham fans. On Earth 3, Harvey killed Thomas, Martha, and Bruce Wayne. And that's it. I'll be honest, I think this issue made me get over the whole clear attempt to turn the Crime Syndicate into being the Seven, but it still bothers me a little. Everything Owlman involved, that be Owlman himself and even Alfred and his Owl's Nest and his backstory, is 100% the highlight of this series. Owlman, in my opinion, is really just showing how much Batman is... It's interesting, because it's about Owlman, but in a weird way, as a Batman fan, I think it shows you how much, like, how intelligent Batman is, and how dangerous he would be if he was on the wrong side. And I think Owlman really shows that. He was able to take on Starro in a believable way, too. He even outsmarted Green Lantern and multiple superheroes. I think it really just shows just how intelligent both Owlman and Batman really are. And I think the fact that he killed Harvey Bullock was kind of like an interesting comparison with how Bruce Wayne didn't kill Joe Chill. Although I find it interesting that they made Harvey Bullock the one who killed his parents. I would think they would make it James Gordon because, you know, that'd be more directly towards the Batman lore, but I guess Harvey Bullock also makes sense. Or even Renee Montoya, I think, could make sense. But I'm not complaining. I really like Owlman stuff, and I really, really hope he has a big role in the rest of the series, because so far he is definitely the best part of it. Second best, in my opinion, and that is Superwoman, who's actually warming up to me. But I still miss Lois Lane Superwoman from the New 52 Crime Syndicate, who, in my opinion, was a great villain. Here, I think this version of Superwoman, who's Donna Troy, isn't bad. At first, I was really upset that they replaced Lois Lane's version of Superwoman. But in all honesty, I think this version's okay too. I did enjoy how nonchalant she was at the end of the world, and in my opinion, she is definitely the second best character in this series. I thought a lot of her one-liners were very, very interesting. Not necessarily like good quips, but are interesting takes on what would Wonder Woman look like if she, you know, believed in something different. Even though this technically isn't Wonder Woman, but I'm still going with the comparison. Because technically Owlman isn't Bruce Wayne, he's Thomas Wayne Jr., who's a separate character from Batman. So I'm including this as being a comparison with Wonder Woman. And I also really thought it was just showing how cold-hearted she was when she let those astronauts die, which was kind of hypocritical of seeing what her whole speech was about, which might have been the point. Which, if it was, that was really, really good. If it wasn't, then that might be a problem. But I'm going off the assumption it was purposeful. So if that's the case, then I really enjoyed just showing how she is hypocritical. She does not think anyone else except for her is validated by humanity. And I also really enjoyed showing the warrior part, in that she actually could take on Ultraman. So, in my opinion, Superwoman is the second best character of the series so far, just behind Owlman, who, in my opinion, is definitely the best character of this entire series so far. Ultraman and Johnny Quick were mind controlled for this entire issue and up until the end, so there's not much to talk about because they were literally just controlled by Starro. Although I do want to say that Ultraman, in my opinion, isn't the most, how do I say, complex and intriguing evil Superman out there. The pre Flashpoint version of Ultraman, in my opinion, was a lot better than this character. And we've also gotten so many evil Supermans ever since then, from Homelander, who is a great evil Superman, Omni Man, um, even Hyperion from Marvel. In my opinion, despite the fact that Ultraman is actually from DC, unlike those other characters, Ultraman here really doesn't stand out. In fact, I feel like he just comes across as very petty, especially in the first issue. As for Johnny Quick, he hasn't really done anything. You just murdered a bunch of people, and we've seen that he has a relationship with Atomica, and that's really it. I'm not saying I dislike either of these characters. I just think there could be they definitely could be better. And I think comparing Ultraman to Homelander, who is a great evil Superman, you can really see just how Ultraman, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people's opinions, you can see that Ultraman is not as good as Homelander, which is ironic because Ultraman came first. Even though Ultraman is technically stealing a lot from Homelander in the series and is very, very obvious. I think also a reason why Owlman and Superwoman stand out is because, unlike Ultraman, Superwoman and Owlman are actually copying Black Noir or Queen Maeve. They're nothing like Black Noir and Queen Maeve. Even if those characters I think would fit very well in the Seven, and they're clearly being inspired by the concept of the Seven, they themselves aren't being copied by any specific character. Ultraman is, and so is Johnny Quick, which I think is also kind of obvious with the whole girlfriend angle. Although that was introduced in the New 52, so I can't say that. I was supposed to do comparison with Popclaw and A-Train, but I can't say that about Johnny Quick in Atomica because that was introduced in the New 52. So that I cannot say. I'm sorry. But I still agree with I still stand on the Ultraman's claim that Ultraman is 100% just copying Homelander at this point. It is very, very clear. Emerald Knight and Atomica didn't do much either. I enjoyed Emerald Knight's struggle with the ring, and I did think it's interesting how, how he clearly didn't know what he was doing. While Atomica only had one line, so I can't really go over her character, even if she did help, free the characters from Starro, which I don't know how she did. Emerald Knight, in my opinion, has potential, although Emerald Knight and Atomica, similar to Superwoman and Owlman, aren't being copied specifically off anybody. Although I can kind of see shades of Lamplighter and Emerald Knight with the whole struggle of morality. But I don't think they're going for that attempt, even maybe it's there, I can't tell. Unlike Ultraman and Homelander, clearly having parallels are very obvious. Emerald Knight and Lamplighter, in my opinion, parallels are either non-existent or very, very little of. But that's my opinion on it. Maybe someone else thinks that they're just a carbon copy and that this book is horrible and stuff like that. I don't think this book is horrible in any opinion. I'd say this comic isn't bad, although it does definitely have its problems. I really dislike making the crime syndicate become more heroic, which I think kind of ruins the whole point of the evil doppelganger plot. I do like deep diving into certain characters. For example, like I said, Superwoman and Owlman, definitely the best characters, and I really did like this issue. I liked it a lot more than issue 1. Maybe it's because we're starting to get a deep dive in both Owlman and Superwoman's characters, but last issue we got a deep dive in Ultraman's character, and I didn't care. Meanwhile, Johnny Quick and Atomica we haven't really learned much about, and same thing with Emerald Knight. All we got is like bits and pieces with Emerald Knight, who we might see more of. We're of course going to see more of because he's on the covers of a lot of the covers of the series, but we don't really know much about his backstory. They joke about it in a panel because, similar to Owlman, there's an editor's note joking about a Green Lantern story focusing on how he struggles with getting the ring and stuff. But unlike Owlman, who we actually get to see his origin, which is probably what they're referring to from the whole editor's box. Even if it wasn't, the whole thing about how he got a Green Lantern, I don't think it's as important as Emerald Knight getting his powers. I think we should actually get to see that, similar to how we saw Owlman's origin and Ultraman's origin. I'm guessing maybe one origin at a time, like each issue is a different character, which makes sense because there's six. Wait, no, there's 6 issues, and I know Atomica and Johnny Quick are usually paired together. So that's my take on the comic. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Leave that all in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.